I call to order the meeting of the Manassas Park City Council for July 18th, 2017. First, we have approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Agenda is approved. Next, please rise for a moment of silence, and Councilmember Carrera, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have anyone signed up to speak during public time? Public comment time?
We don't.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a presentation from People's Inc., Mr. Robert Goldsmith. Mr. Goldsmith, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Since you're around, I appreciate it. Well, thank you for time on your agenda this evening. I'm here to deliver a copy of our most recent annual report, which is coming around to you now. I'm going around to quite a few jurisdictions delivering this, and it's a little bit awkward for me because this is for the year that ended June 30th, 2016. So this is old news from my perspective, but it's the most recent annual report we have. It takes quite a few months to get ready to print it. It has copies of our excerpts from our audit report. It's got a board roster. It's got summaries of our programs and services, a little bit about the outcomes that we've achieved, and highlight a project or two that are particularly significant. I hope that you will take this home, look through it, digest it some, and I hope that what you'll do is look at it and say, well, they're doing this somewhere else. I sure wish they'd do that in Manassas Park, and contact me at the number on the back cover, and then we can start a dialogue about that. That's how a lot of our projects get started. We're having conversations with your neighbors in Manassas about helping to finance a new public safety building with new markets tax credits. We're talking about the development of some affordable housing for veterans there. I didn't come up with those ideas. People in the city came to us, and members of council came to us with those ideas. So this is really an invitation to you all to bring ideas to us on things that you'd like to see us do here. What we did during the year in question was to provide credit counseling to individuals, to provide a couple of business training classes where a number of your citizens receive training on how to start up and operate a small business. What we've added in Manassas Park since that time is access to consumer loans and business loans. And we've not gotten a loan in Manassas Park yet, but I'm optimistic that that will happen soon. We recently hired a bilingual business development manager who's based in our office in Manassas, and we're working on plans to have her located in this building one day a week so that maybe we can become more accessible to people from your city that need to borrow some money for a wide range of things, starting a business or fixing a car or paying off medical bills, or wide range of things. So that's what we're doing here right now. I really am mainly hoping to get some input from you all, or feedback from you on what we should be doing here. I also want to thank you for your appointment of Randy Knights to our board of directors. She's a great board member. She participates, she's got good ideas, and she's a real asset to our organization. And I think a good link between the city and People Incorporated. So I'm happy to try and answer any questions anybody might have.
Well, we certainly do appreciate the good work that you do in the community. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Anyone have any comments or questions?
Well, I was just noticing you said you do a dental program, and I don't know if you know that we do a MAP program with a combination of George Mason and the city, and we here in the city, I don't know if that's something you can, maybe we can expand, because I know they only offer 1 day of appointments to clients, and so that might be something you can piggyback on if, in terms of we already have a building now, and there's some staff that maybe you can help to expand it or offer the free dental, because I know dental is an issue, particularly with people with on Medicaid or uninsured, where they're just not accessible to dental services. That might be something that you can partner with. That we already have a building, we have some staff through George Mason who's helping to manage it. That might be an add-on service that you could maybe something you can help with if you see a need.
Absolutely. Dental is one of the biggest unmet needs that low and moderate income people have, and so if we can help to address that. It sounds like it could be fairly parallel. Where we do the dental clinic is in Washington County in southwestern Virginia. We developed that in partnership with the local Department of Social Services and the Health Department years ago. What we really bring to the table is access to some state tax credits that local dentists receive for volunteering their time, and so we have quite a few dentists that volunteer time for providing free dental services, and then they get a state tax credit for that. So,
That's nice.
who would be a good person to talk with about that?
Our city manager, Mr. Palco, would be happy to put you in contact with staff that could answer your questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, I'll be in touch.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is informational items. I don't believe we have anything for this evening. Next would be approval of the consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of the approval of the minutes of June 20th, and approval of the amended minutes of June 27th, and ratification of an emergency expenditure of $18,380 for repair of the City Hall elevator due to a lightning strike. Do we have a motion?
Question, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just that the number you cited was different than what's on the agenda here on the front. So I just want to make sure for the public that I don't know which, I'm looking really fast, so.
You mean the 18,380, is that the number you're
Yeah.
referring to?
5.
Yeah, is 18,380, was that what the final number was?
18,380.
Okay, because on this one it says 18,500. That's the only reason I asked.
I see. I was going by the
No, that's okay. I don't know
cover
what
sheet,
the,
yeah.
I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure we had the right amount.
Is that the correct
That
amount?
is 18,380.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
cool.
Thank you.
Then so moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We have no unfinished business, so moving on to new business. Next, we have the HVAC upgrade at Manassas Park Community Center. Who's up for that?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the governing body. So would like to request, per the FY18 approved capital project fund, funds were approved for $17,000 to address our current HVAC system. The current system is on a Windows XP platform, which is sorely outdated. So we have worked in conjunction with our mechanical contractor as well as the city's IT department to kind of figure out a reasonable solution or strategy to kind of bridge that gap so that we can maintain air heating and cooling and ventilation functionality with our system. It was determined that a web appliance is going to be our best bet to kind of bridge that gap. It's going to be the most stable long-term solution and cost-effective solution moving forward. The web appliance came in just a little under what was budgeted at $16,500. That's from Shapiro and Duncan Mechanical Contractors. We've worked with them since the building's inception back in 2010. They helped. They were very intimately involved in the process of getting the HVAC system set up with the new community center, so they're very familiar with the system. And by going with Shapiro and Duncan, we will be able to maintain the software and hardware components with ASI controls, which is proprietary control system. If we were to try to switch control systems, we would have to go with a completely different vendor, which would be very costly, timely. It would be about 4 to 5 times the cost of sticking with the vendor that we have now. And we would obviously have to go with a new mechanical contractor altogether, because every contractor is going to have their own proprietary control system. So I'd like to respectfully request approval to move forward with the upgraded HVAC web appliance. That's something that will allow us a lot more dependability and more efficiency moving forward in the future, and is hopefully something that's kind of future-proof for quite some time, and we're not going to get in the same kind of situation that we're in today.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Yes, I have a question. What is the life for this new HVAC system?
Well, I spoke to the mechanical contractor, and basically, he said, I can't give you hard and fast numbers, but he said this is something that, as of now, this is their long-term solution for the future, as far as what they're incorporating with all their new business, all their new facilities, in their current facilities that have the old system, which are few and far between, that are on an actual PC platform. He said they're highly suggesting everyone go away from that and go to this web appliance so that everything's kind of pushed to the network.
Okay. How is the current system working right now, so the citizens know why we need this implementation?
Sure. So a good example now currently, if we need to just increase or decrease air temp in a room, say we have a banquet function and we need to decrease the air, turn the air conditioning on, we go to the web browser. There's only about 2 computers in the department that have access. We go to that browser, we go into the system, we log in, and we actually change the set point temperature for that space. When the system first originated, when we were first in the building, that was something that may take me 5 minutes tops from start to finish. Now it can be up to 30, 45 minutes. And it can involve me having to turn off the computer, restart the computer several times. It's very inefficient. And then also what can happen is we often will see inaccurate readings. So we may show temperatures. The other day I saw a temperature -40. Well, the system, it's obviously not -40, but that's what the computer sends a message, to the control system, and the controller sends the message to the rooftop unit. Well, in that sequence, there's a lot of miscommunication going on. And the end result is we're not necessarily getting real actual figures, and we don't know exactly what we're working with. It's a little bit of a shot in the dark. We know if it's really hot or if it's really cold in the room, but there's not a whole lot of confidence that what the system is stating is accurate. So that's the biggest concern, is inefficiency. The second best, which is kind of predicated on that, is operationally, once we lose functionality of that system, like once that hard drive fails, we lose heating, air, and ventilation, which is of concern, us being an emergency shelter first and foremost, in the event that we're a cooling center, we're a warming center in the winter, we would lose the ability to serve in those capacities at that point. And obviously just day-to-day operation, we're handcuffed at that point too.
I have a question. Since it's web-based, are we hosting it here, or are they hosting it through the vendor?
It would be on the city's network, so they would definitely need cooperation from the city's IT department, as far as
Where's the data stored? On their server there, or on our servers?
my understanding is it would be on our servers. Yeah, that's my understanding. It would be on our servers. I did ask just for, I was looking at all alternatives, all options, and they said cloud hosting was an option, but it is very expensive, and there would be concerns with network security. So that's not a direction they want to go in. But it is an option.
The vendor said that?
The vendor said that.
So it will not be cloud-based?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And again, I don't want to speak for him. He's not here and present with us, but I feel pretty confident saying, Don with, as far as with the city's IT department, has been very much on board and,
that's good.
and in agreement with kind of this direction from the get-go. I kind of picked his brain and asked for his seal of approval, given his position in the city, and he certainly is on board with this solution.
Okay. So currently it's working under the Windows XP platform. Is the idea to go with Windows 10? And is there a chance that's going to upgrade? Is this going to be Windows 11 in the future?
I will be honest, I'm not
I think our
an
system
IT
said it's
individual. That is something I can reach out to the vendor with Shapiro, or I'm sorry, their IT professional with Shapiro and find
You
out.
said
and
it's on
answer.
our server, so it's not, we don't have XP servers.
Yeah.
So it would sit on one of the
Web
other
appliance, then you
hosted
just
servers
log
here,
in.
which I think is, it's not 7. but
Preston,
it's
you had a
server
question?
one.
I think it's currently 7, but we're
Yeah.
moving to 10 soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jay, in addition to this, are you following a regular schedule of maintenance, like it's HVAC systems getting its filters changed regularly and it's being inspected?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. And that's another reason. We've been with Shapiro and Duncan, again, since the building opened in 2010. We've had a preventive maintenance schedule with them for the entirety of that time frame. So that's something where we've had a good, long-standing relationship with them. They've been very responsive. They've been very, good to work with. And we have had all of those maintenance procedures in place for the long haul to try to mitigate any type of, major issues or problems along the way. This just happens to be the nature of Windows XP is such that we just can't go in and make any adjustments. There's unfortunately no Band-Aid or way to kind of address this.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it was -40, and and that sure wasn't the case. But it could be the thermostat the problem or the software you're using. So, yeah, this is necessary. Thanks.
Sure.
Question, as I am not an IT professional, but if we have to replace a unit in terms of the actual unit that does the cooling, does this software, does all this can stay in place even with a new piece of machinery?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Yeah, this is strictly linked to the control system, the hardware, the software, the actual rooftop units themselves. This will have no impact on that. The mechanical part of the system will, we can swap in and out, with, seamlessly with no issue.
I see. Okay. Have we ever, I know you said you had a long-standing contract with them, but have we ever bid that out again?
We have not. The contract, if I'm not mistaken, that we're in now, it's either a 3 or 4 year term. It's something that we're going to have to review and look at soon because it will be up for renewal. The challenge with that, or the kind of where that gets a little bit difficult, is all of these mechanical contractors are going to be working with proprietary, software.
Right.
So once we go to if we go to a different mechanical contractor, we have to swap out all of the controls and all of the hardware software to that new proprietary system.
So what we're approving tonight would have to be changed.
No, because we have ASI controls in place currently. If we were to say, hey, let's look at going with Johnson controls, for instance, we would have to then have Shapiro and Duncan come in, basically retrofit the system with what they call like a backport, I think is the term, to where they enable a third-party vendor to come in and communicate with the current software and control system that's in place in order to make the transition. That's about an $8,000 to $10,000 situation to deal with that. Then your new vendor or your new contractor comes in with their proprietary control system, and they have to install all of those controls into all your new hardware, software, everything into the new system. So you have to integrate all of that. So now that's where the 4 to 5 times the price comes into play. Each time, unfortunately, just the nature of the business, each contractor is going to have their proprietary control system that they're going to work with. And that's, like for us, for instance, if we had someone capable of handling this, we couldn't go to ASI Controls directly and procure any of this equipment. It has to go through an authorized vendor that they work with, which in this region is Shapiro and Duncan. So that's why we're basically hamstrung in the sense that we have to go with that contractor if we want to stick with this hardware, this software, and this control system.
Wow.
That's interesting.
It's definitely a contract protection mechanism because you can't just up and leave and go to somebody else, even if they raise the price. The price will always be less than the transition to a different system. Is that correct?
Yes.
Basically. Wow.
I just want to make a comment. Thanks for adding the sole source procurement is added here so the citizens know why you selected Shapiro and Duncan. It's because it's the only authorized vendor of this system in the region. So I like to see that in the notes.
Madam Mayor, if I can comment on that. Even though it says sole source here, we're technically doing this under the small procurement procedures of the city. It just so happens we can't get any competition because of the proprietary nature. So we're not requiring a statement that is sole source because we are using small procurement. So I just want to make sure we're not getting the two confused. But it is proprietary, though, so we couldn't really get a second proposal.
We know what business we need to be in.
Any other questions or comments? Then we would need a motion to approve HVAC upgrade pending city attorney review, work to be performed by Shapiro and Duncan Mechanical Contractors. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Next, we have M&F Concrete Task Order. This task order flows from the M&F agreement that we approved several months ago in order for the city to have a mechanism that we can contract for concrete repairs.
Lee, Mayor Rischel, members of council, citizens, staff. Last time we spoke about M&F, we were approving the master on-call agreement. At that time, we discussed in brief the principal purpose, the immediate need to approve M&F was the repairs for Winter Storm Jonas. That we did receive a cooperative agreement from FEMA. They will pay 75% of the repairs. At the time that we had the master agreement approved, I had committed to council that we would look into some local vendors since this was going to be a small procurement. We wouldn't have to go RFP or IFB. So we did pursue some local vendors. Unfortunately, we didn't get response from those vendors, and we are here up against a deadline of September 7th to have the work completed and proof of payment to FEMA. So we went ahead and asked M&F to provide us with updated prices. Unfortunately, M&F had originally priced these repairs for Winter Storm Jonas before we had written the Prince William County contract and price list, actually utilizing their mobilization fee to go to all the different places in the city to use the Prince William County price list was more expensive. So the original estimate that they had given us that FEMA had approved for this agreement is actually the figures that we're using. So we are deviating slightly from the price agreement with Prince William, but only to save money. So we're actually saving money from what it would cost under the Prince William County price list, and M&F is honoring their original estimate. So before you is a request for approval of this task order number 1 to M&F Concrete for $68,660 for the repairs that were from the damage that was incurred during Winter Storm Jonas.
Is the list a complete list of the storm damage?
Yes.
Okay.
If I could just mention also, the last 4 pages are the key ones. That's the actual pricing list, and then also the task order number 1, which we're being asked to review tonight. The majority of the package is just a Prince William contract that you saw back in May 16th.
Okay.
If I can also point out, so we're using a task order here, and we're using the umbrella of the agreement that you already approved. We could have gone out with a separate agreement here, but it seemed unnecessary because we have the provision in the agreement that if there's something outside the scope of services, they can issue a task proposal, and that's what they've done. So we kind of folded it into the agreement we already had rather than come to you with a separate agreement.
And you said that of the 68,000, that 75% will be paid by FEMA. Is that correct?
Well, it's 75% of FEMA's estimate, which was less than that, though, right?
FEMA's estimate was 63,354.08, is that correct?
Yes, it's 75% of their original estimate.
still good. It's good. It's free money
Yes.
to us, at least.
Well, that's why we won't want to miss this opportunity.
Right.
We gave the vendors that we pursued a deadline. They did not submit by the deadline, and we feel that this is really our last opportunity to move forward, get this work done, and get it invoiced and billed before September 7th. So.
Yeah.
And that's why we were working up to the last minute, so I apologize for sending it so late, but we couldn't wait for the August meeting because we need to get moving on this.
I know there's a lot of construction going on. Is it because our local vendors are probably already, it's saturated, they're already
I'm
got
not certain. I did have
task.
problems getting any concrete work at the modular clinic, so I know that concrete contractors are busy. This is the busy time of year, but that's something that we'll be pursuing with the vendors that we contacted in the park. We'll be visiting them after this to try and figure out how we can get quotes from them in the future. So.
Right.
It seems a bit disappointing that Manassas Park businesses don't want to provide service to the city government.
We knew that specifically these types of issues were problematic, which is why under the Prince William County price list, this gets higher, because to mobilize from one space to the other throughout the city to make these small little repairs where a loader chipped out the top of a piece of curb. The catch basins, you would think that people might want the work, but moving from place to place is not cost effective, so maybe it's just the kind of work that they don't want to do right now.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you for reaching out to local vendors. Please keep doing that. Probably we need to improve the communication. I don't know, because we need to keep the money here, you know.
Well, we always have work. We'll always have storms. We're in the future, we have another big snowstorm. We'll have more damage similar to this that, will be a need for concrete or paving in the future. I mean, it's, we're always going to have that need.
I think it was a staging issue, though, was my interpretation of what Calvin said, that hopping from place to place was not cost-effective for the company.
Right.
Gotcha.
Possibly that's why they didn't respond.
It's not ideal work for most vendors. If they can go to a single site and do a lot of yardage of concrete, they can make good money, reduce the mobilization costs. When you're asking somebody to do a little touch-up work here and there, they start wondering if they're going to make money or lose money. So.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, do we have a motion per staff recommendation to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you, Calvin. And you're still up. Next is purchase of nutrient credits to meet water quality standards for the Safe Routes to School project and the Manassas Euclid intersection project.
Yes, Mayor Rishwell, this is, when we originally had BMPs, there were 4 BMPs planned, 2 for each of these projects, the Euclid intersection improvements, and then 2 BMPs for the Safe Routes to School project. And that's because we are, with these projects, increasing the impervious area in the city. So the city's responsibility is to provide nutrient reduction for the increased impervious area. The original design had accomplished that with 2 BMPs on each project. When we came across a situation with the Euclid project where a utility couldn't be relocated in time because of a conflict with the BMP, we looked for a solution. At that time, we found that purchasing nutrient credits was about 1/3 of the cost of actually installing the BMPs, and the beauty of it is you don't need to maintain nutrient credits. There's no maintenance cost. One of the systems that was prescribed for I believe for the Safe Routes project was a cartridge system. Those cartridges, when you total man hours, labor, and replacement, can be about $1,000 per cartridge every 3 to 5 years to replace. So the savings were noticed on accident. We were trying to find a solution not to install these BMPs. And so what we're trying to do is save the city some money, guarantee that we don't have any future maintenance costs on these 4 BMPs, and do this one-shot deal to make sure that we're covering the nutrients we're increasing from the impervious increase.
Is this a one-time cost?
Yes.
And we're buying credits from somebody else.
Yeah, it's a nutrient bank essentially, but yes, we are buying from a single vendor, but it is the nutrient bank. So.
And once we purchase, we get credit every single year going forward, once they're purchased. Okay.
Oh, wow.
The filtration device that's going to be placed up on Manassas Drive near Martin, I think,
Yes.
does the filter need to be changed in that device?
Yeah,
Similar.
we're not at the point yet. We haven't seen the preliminary design of the manufactured treatment device. We know that it will be a filter system, whether it's a cartridge system, we don't know yet. So that's something, I know what our answer is gonna be if that becomes Bowman's proposed solution is, can we find a less maintenance intensive device?
Or would buying nutrient credits apply to that project as well?
Problem is the amount of reduction that we're trying to get from that manufactured treatment device. There is a line with these small increases in impervious area, this is cost effective. When you look at the fact that our TMDL reductions are based on the acreage of the entire city, it's not cost effective. Other jurisdictions have looked into purchasing nutrient credits, and it can be a good fill in the blank. If you can afford X amount of treatment through stormwater improvements, through pond improvements, or installing treatment devices, and yet you're just a little bit short, nutrient credits can fill that blank and not kill your pocketbook. But to buy all the reduction we need through nutrient credits would cost us more. We own these facilities that we're improving, so it's not like we're buying land and developing new facilities. We're improving, retrofitting existing facilities. So it's more cost effective for us to continue to retrofit what we can retrofit. And then if we can't achieve our goals, we'll probably explore nutrient credit purchase.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I like the process. If we could relocate that utility, would that change our options? Or would we still go with the
This
nutrient
was,
credit?
like I said, the utility conflict was how we discovered that nutrient credit purchase was gonna be so much more cost effective.
Right.
This is a little bit shocking. Well, normally people just do nutrient credit purchase because they don't want to deal with the hassle of installing and maintaining a private BMP.
Right.
In this instance, we just found that for as little poundage as we need, this is a good solution. It's an affordable solution.
Thanks. I think.
Alvin, thank you for doing the research, and also, would you let us know how much is the saving for the city?
Okay. I think on one project it was 85,000 for Euclid, down to 30,000 to purchase the nutrient credits, 85,000 to install the BMP, 30,000 to purchase the nutrient credits, and I can't remember the numbers, but it was about a third of the cost to purchase these nutrient credits, if that was the question.
$85,000 more to build the BMPs versus the.
And this is just one time. We don't have to worry about
And no
maintenance.
future maintenance, so.
That's great. Thank you for the research.
So it's $85,000 savings for both together, both sets together. Where is the money coming from? Is this out of the VDOT money for?
Yes, project funds. Both projects have a certain mixture of federal funds and state funds. Safe Routes especially has a diverse mixture of funding sources, federal and state, but yes, it's coming from VDOT's project fund.
Good. I just want to make sure this is truly free because we're getting stormwater credit for the city and we don't have to pay for it.
On the Safe Routes project, once we achieve a certain level of spending, we start getting into the revenue sharing portion of that. So 50% of the costs of that revenue sharing portion. We've tried to keep costs low so that we tap as little into that revenue sharing portion as possible. But, we combined the Safe Routes grant money, some urban funds, some leftover, I think there were RSTP funds, and then revenue sharing is the last source that you tap when all other sources are exhausted, so.
Cool.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, do we have a motion based on staff recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you, Calvin.
Thank you, Calvin.
Next, we have city manager update.
I have a few handouts for you all.
Yay, handouts.
That's this down here.
Thank you.
Take one pass down.
Yeah, I couldn't get this to come up. I couldn't get any of the, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll wait for you guys to hand everything out. some exciting news and important stuff to share, and then some future items to discuss and schedule this evening. The first thing I want you all to look at is the one sheet of paper. It has July 12th, 2017 on top. And this I shared with you all via email, but I know we wanted to make this a public record. We received a nice note from Fairfax County Police thanking our police and fire department for the great service that was provided on the evening of June 28th when we had the unfortunate train accident, the fatal accident. They wanted to, and I'll just read it here, not the whole thing, but the important part, recognize the following individuals for their hard work, professionalism, expertise, and dedication during this tragic incident. From the Manassas Park Police Department, Dispatcher Sarah Harrison, Dispatcher Angela Oquendo, Dispatcher Records Clerk Jania Lugswigson, my apologies, Officer Benjamin Dillard, Officer Christopher Coughlin, Officer William Kessenberry, Officer James Brand, Sergeant Frank Winston, Detective Aaron Wetzel, Detective Andrew Bussell, Lieutenant James Roberts, Lieutenant Melissa Borman, Lieutenant Sid Quasi, Captain Kevin Hampton, Captain Trevor Reinhardt, and our own Chief John Evans. And then from the Manassas Park Fire Department, of course, our Chief David Dixon, Battalion Chief Adam Jones, Captain Joshua Brandon, Firefighter Medic Aaron Shute, Firefighter Medic John Perry, Firefighter Medic Joseph Bond, Firefighter David Sullivan, and Firefighter Carlos Solsol. And as they said, if anyone was left off the list, we verified that they were not, that they wanted to recognize their efforts, and they just gave us a warm thank you. And we'd like to do the same thing as well for the golf course personnel that were out there. And we're trying to reach out to them and get a list of names of who was there, but they were really good to our employees. They really provided services, the golf carts, food, other things to help out with the effort. And it's just an important event that occurred, and just reminds us of the important work that we have to do in the city and the great employees that we have as well. So just wanted to make it a note of public record.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next thing we have here, this actually our own Chief Evans brought this up. He sent a note to the mayor this morning about the 10 best places to retire in Virginia. Manassas Park is actually number 3.
Yay.
And if you look on page 2, on the back, they essentially established the criteria for how they did the assessment. Cost of living, low crime. We know we always do a good job with our police department in keeping crime low in our citizens. Things to do, nice weather, and proximity to international airport. So they kind of specify all those things, and you can see on the 4th page they have our picture, not our picture, and the description of Manassas Park. And I just want to note the picture there, the importance of when we think about downtown master planning, a nice feature that can be kind of the signature that we're going to want to market effectively. So when we make these kinds of lists, we have something that we want to share, whether it's a veteran memorial or whatever it is that we need to do. But this is a good honor for us, and we need to keep getting on these lists, and it's just a good way to market the city. So thanks, Chief, for letting us know that.
Thank you, and good point about the
Thank you,
picture.
Chief.
Yep.
Great.
The next thing you have in front of you looks like this. These are 2 draft agendas. There's a couple ways we can crack this nut. We want to do kind of an all-day work session or break it off into 3 evening work sessions. So I just want to get your preference tonight, but this is essentially the draft agenda for what we want to cover, just to give you a good insight for what we're going to be discussing that day when we do the all-day or the multiple session, the retreat, if you will. Some of the important things that we'll go over, and I just wanted to give you kind of an insight for that, so you know what to expect, and then solicit what your preference would be for getting this done, and hopefully we can schedule this evening, and continue to work on the products and be ready for that day to facilitate a good retreat. Mayor, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Okay. I think I would like to speak in favor of having an all-day work session / retreat. I think if we were to start discussing things, we could just keep rolling onwards, and there would be more of a sense of continuity if we did it on the same day, rather than to break it up into 3.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And the 2 dates here, 2 suggested dates. Either one is fine for me. My schedule is open on both of those days. So
Are these Saturdays?
yes, they are.
Great.
I work both of those.
I beg your
I said I
pardon?
work both of those.
Okay.
I work every other Saturday, so basically all the ones that are not those would be okay.
I'm flexible.
Would you be able to switch? Because what I had thought, if we can get a supermajority to attend, we don't have to have absolutely everyone attend. It would be very nice if we did, but if 5 or 6 of us are able to attend on either one of these days, then we would go forward with it.
I mean, I
And
could
we
do
would
it-
we
I
would
could do
tape
the-
it so that, you know,
We could do
whoever.
the 19th. I mean, I could do the 19th. I could do Labor Day weekend. I could do the
Well,
week
Labor Day
after that one.
weekend is not a good time to
Okay.
people travel.
I could even do the one after the 16th of September. I mean, I could do it, as I said, I could.
Okay, so, well, let's go down let's start here. Hector, is the 26th or the 9th available for you?
I'll say the 9th.
The 9th?
Yeah.
Okay. And Mike?
I'm open, either or.
Either one? Okay. I'm available either one.
I'm
Miriam?
available either one.
Either
too,
one?
Me too.
Either one. Okay, it's looking like it's going to be September 9th.
Okay.
Can you, now you have enough time, you have over a month, can you contact your boss and say, can I please switch?
Yeah, well, I'll try.
Okay,
I can't promise.
okay.
Okay.
So September 9th.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. And please feel free to provide any feedback or any questions that you may have based off of this as well. I'm still kind of fleshing things out, but I think this is going to be the good
And you'll have a
idea.
packet for
Correct,
us.
I'll have a
You know,
packet.
He'll have a sizable packet, so if you want to make comment on the packet.
Okay.
And the last thing you have here, this is just kind of for your information, the way I think of things, the way I kind of process decisions. Foundationally, decision-making processes came from the military course, but then they applied to the corporate world. And now there's a lot of theoretical different, foundations for different decision-making formats. But they all kind of operate the same way. It's kind of a nice loop, and I just wanted to delineate how I would like us to think about, how we do policy analysis and think through problems. You don't always follow all these, but you try to keep it, keep close to it. So you start off with defining the purpose. Why are we doing this? What's our vision and mission? That's what we really want to talk about as we move forward, not just with the retreat, but then as we develop kind of a strategic plan for the city as well. Describing the situation, that's essentially understanding who we are, like what we can do and how we can do it, what the current challenges are that are blocking us from doing so, and then the environment. What are our resources? What's the economic situation, demographics, the regional realities? Alternatives, of course, you're going to develop multiple solutions. You don't want to just come in with one preconceived solution and go with it. You want to kind of keep an open mind, and that's what I promise I'll do as well when I present policy decisions. Always just keep an open mind and present multiple options as well. Comparing these, really doing a pros and cons analysis and feasibility analysis as well. Setting the course of action, that's really going to be up to the governing body to really set the organizational direction of where we're going. And how we're going to get there, and then developing implementation plans, how to achieve these goals, what tasks and timelines, what roles and responsibilities, how do we want to structure our organization to accomplish that, and then of course implementing, coordinating, communicating, what are the inputs that we need, how do we want to utilize those inputs and processes to generate outputs, and getting the right outputs to achieve your outcome goals, of course. Then evaluating performance, that's the performance management program that I hope to implement here as well, and then that helps you really analyze how effective you're being and whether we need to go back and rethink kind of our course of action, our implementation plan, or our purpose of why we're even taking this endeavor on. So it's just a way for you guys to understand how I think through things as well. I think it's important that we all kind of have a common understanding of how we need to do policy analysis going forward.
No, I like this. When I first came on board, I think in 2010, I used to always argue that to focus on process. If you get the process right and have a good process, then you will get a good outcome. But we've got to have good processes in terms of making decisions and forming policy. And, to identify how you make decisions is awesome. So thank you.
Well, I think it's important too to dovetail with what you just said, for things to be data-driven. The facts have to support what we do.
Yeah.
And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, City Attorney, you have a motion for us to go into closed session?
I do, Madam Mayor. I recommend the governing body go into closed meeting to discuss a prospective business where no previous announcement has been made of the business's interest in locating in the city, and to consult with the city attorney regarding a specific legal matter requiring the provision of legal advice by the city attorney pursuant to paragraphs 5 and 7 of subsection 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. We're in closed session.